Hi everyone. So you guys asked me if I could create a video tutorial about how to use the strategy tester on Metatrader 4. So I'm gonna create this short video on how to use the strategy tester, and so you guys can use it right away. So let's get started. I'm gonna remove myself from the screen so you guys can see the entire screen and don't miss out on anything. So I'm just gonna close the market watch because we don't need it. Basically, we don't need the chart either, so I'm just gonna make it smaller once we open up the strategy tester. So you can find the icon of the strategy tester right up here. So I'm gonna click it and it's opening up right over here. So I'm gonna expand it a little bit to the upside, all the way up here, because later on we'll have a chart in here and it's much more handy if it's a little bit bigger. So first of all, let me go over some important things. We have a couple of tabs right over here. We have the settings tab, we have the journal tab, and they're gonna be more tabs once you've test run your first test. So let me go over the settings tab. You have the expert advisor. Here you also have an indicator, so if you want to test an indicator, that's possible as well. We're going to test an EA this time, the Juggernaut EA. So we're going to select it, the EA right over here. Right now it's still on moving average. You can press the drop down arrow right over here, and then you can see the Juggernaut EA is already in my list. If it's not in the list, I have another video tutorial that I will link in the description below. Very easy. You just go to Files, open data folder, and then this folder will open up. You go to MQL4, you go to experts, and then you just paste whatever EA you want in your MetaTrader. Just paste it in there, and then it's all said and done. So it's already there. I have selected the Juggernaut EA. I want to test my strategy. I want to test my EA. I want to create files or setting files for gold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find gold in the list. It's right over here. Select it, and that's done already. Then the next thing is the model. I leave it on every tick because that's the most precise method. So I leave it just like that. Then I want to select a date, which when I want to test, so I'm going to select use date, and I'm going to test 1 month, right? So usually I test 1 month, and then if I find a good file, I test for a longer period of time and see how it's done. Because if you're going to select 3 months or 6 months from the first time, it's going to take a lot of time to complete every test run, okay? It's already going to take a lot of time right now, so I'm going to speed it up every time I'm testing. Otherwise it will be a video of 2 or 3 hours. So take that into account. When you're creating a file, it's not going to be created in 30 minutes. It's more like going to be created in 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. So it takes a lot of time and effort, but it's definitely worth the effort, worth the time. Another thing that I want to say is it doesn't guarantee good results. So if you're creating a good file on the strategy tester, you need to demo test it on a demo account for at least 1 or 2 weeks to see if it's performing the same way, to see how it's performing in the real market, right? Because this is based on historical data. I'm going to select the data from June 1 until July 1, right? So that's 1 month. I'm going to include the second one as well because I do want to have it complete the 1st of July as well, right? So I'm gonna test from the 1st until the 2nd of July. The next thing that I'm gonna look at, so we can leave the visual mode off because then the testing is gonna take a lot more time. Then you will see on the chart where it's taking the trades. I don't need to see that. If you do want to see that, you just can select that, you can check that, and then you will see how and when it's taking trades, when it's getting out, etc. I don't want that because then it's gonna take like 10 hours, right? The next thing that we need to select is the period, the time frame that we want to test the EA on. All right, for me it's gonna be the 15 minutes for now. You can go to the 5 minutes, you can go to a 1 minute or bigger, right? For me it's important that the test is reliable. If you're gonna test on a 1 minute time frame, the test is gonna be less reliable. I'm gonna show you that in a minute. Once we've done our first test, you can see how reliable the test is. If you're doing it on a 1 minute time frame, it's just gonna be 25% reliable. If you're going to a 5-minute, it's already 80 or 90%, and that's the same for the 50-minute time frame. I have created 20K prop firm settings on a 50-minute time frame. I already created this morning 100K prop firm settings, and now I want to create 50K prop firm settings. So that's what this tutorial is going to be about. I'm going to show you guys how I'm creating a 50K prop firm account, or prop firm setting, or prop firm account settings at least. So yeah, that's what I'm going to show you guys right now. So the spread, I'm going to leave that at the current spread. Be very careful. If you are trading or testing during the weekends, you need to set a spread, right? I made that mistake a bit earlier before. I had my spread on current, but the spreads in the weekend, I don't know, something went wrong. And when I test run on Monday, the results were completely different. So I just want to give you guys that advice. But for now, during the week, you can leave it at current. The next thing that we need to do is we need to load up the settings, right? So if you click expert properties, you can see our settings are popping up. The first thing that we want to do is we want to go to testing, and we want to go and fill the balance, the deposit, the initial deposit that we want to test on. So right now it's going to be 50K. So I'm going to fill in 50,000. I do want to have long and short positions because I feel that's how the EA works best, unless you have a different strategy that you put on top of it. But that's something else. So I leave that at balance, genetic algorithm, so that's fine. Just fill in the account balance, fill in the currency that you want to trade in. For me, it's going to be USD right now. And then we can go to inputs. So usually it's only this column and this column that you're going to see when you are really trading on a demo account, live account, or a prop firm account. It's just going to be these first two columns that you're going to see. Right now, when you're in the strategy tester, you also see this one, and this one. You don't need to take those into account. That's just how it is by default, and anything else, right? So just focus on this column, and you'll be fine. So again, these are the settings that I have used for the 100K account. So if you want me to see how I load them up, I just go to load. I go to the folder that they are in. So that was the passive settings that I created for gold on a 20K account. I'm going to use the 100K settings, and so these are the 15-minute time frame gold 100K passive settings. I want to create the same file but for a 50K, and I'm going to base my my settings on the 100K account, or the 100K account settings at least. I hope that makes sense. So open that up. They are loading right now. So now if I would test run them, they're probably gonna crash because they are too aggressive for a 50K account. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. It's not that simple to just cut everything in half and you'll be fine for a 50K account. If it was that easy, it would save us a lot more time, but it's not that way, right? We can of course start with cutting in half our lot size, right? So what I can do is I can make this 0.06 and test run. Of course, it's probably not gonna be that great. It's probably gonna crash because our max lot is probably too high as well. But one advice that I can give you is don't change too many settings at the same time, because if you do a test run and it's okay, or you wanna increase your profit, or you wanna decrease your drawdown or anything like that, and you change multiple things at the same time, then you don't know what eventually gave that change, right? If you only change one thing, then you know, okay, if I change this by 0.01, if I change it to 0.07, for example, and I run it again, if I run it again, then I know exactly what setting made that difference. If you change too much, you don't know. So that's why it's taking a lot of time, because you change one thing, you run it again. You change another thing, you run it again. You change something else, you run it again. Okay, so that's the advice that I can give you. If you're going to change this and this and this and this, then you're going to get completely different results, but you don't know what is making that difference, what's causing that result to change that dramatic. So I'm gonna test run this right now, 0.07, so that's the only thing that I've changed, and let's see how it's performing. I guess it's gonna crash, right? So again, we have two settings or two tabs right now. We have the settings tab and we have the journal tab. From the moment I press start, we're gonna have more tabs, so you'll see. Let's press start, and you can see the results tab appeared, the graph tab appeared, and the report tab. The report tab is always gonna be blank until the run is finished. The graph tab is very important. Here you can see how it's developing. So right now we need to wait a little bit because it's loading the 1 minute and the 5 minute data. So right now we can see it's already starting to run. At the bottom, you can see the amount of trades that it's taking. The green lines that you can see over here are your position sizes. Okay, and we can see it's already crashed. That's not a big deal. Because we knew it's probably gonna crash. The results tab, here you can see the trades that it's taking. Here you can see your position size. You can see the order, the amount or the number of the order, and you can see what it did, right? So if it's not only placing buys and sells, it's also modifying. And what do I mean by modifying? It's basically changing your TP. If it's so this EA works that way that if it's placing a buy order, it's gonna place a TP immediately as well. It's not using stop losses because we know the Juggernaut EA uses an equity stop. It's using martingale or other techniques, but it's not using stop losses. It's using an equity stop. So if your drawdown goes past that equity stop, all trades will start to close. So that's why we never see a stop loss. We only see TPs and modifications of those TPs. We see sell orders and we see buy orders, but it's only the TP that's being modified. So that being said, let's go back to the settings. We have changed that. Lot size. Probably that lot size is okay. For me, it's probably this one that's gonna be hurting our account the most right now. So I'm gonna cut that in half as well and see how it is affecting our account. I'm gonna make it 115 and see how it's going. Just press OK and run it again. You can see when it's on stop, it's running. When it's on start, it's not running, and you can press start. So right now it's collecting the M1 data, collecting the M5 data, and now it's running again. So let's watch the chart right now. Again, guys, the blue line is our balance and the green line is our equity. So we can see here our equity was higher than our balance. So that's good basically to see. It's only when your green line, your equity line, is going below your balance that you're going into drawdown. Is that a problem? No, that's not a problem at all, because our EA works that way, that first it needs to go into drawdown to then recover into profit. Right now we've seen it's crashed again. So that's good to know. We can change a lot more things. So let's go and change some more things. I'm gonna change my step size. I'm gonna change it all the way to 300, right? That means that my orders are gonna be placed much slower. It's gonna take a lot more distance between each order before it's taking a new trade. So let's press OK and let's start again. So we're gonna test run and test run and test run and keep changing these minor things until we have our desired result. Basically, the goal is to have an EA that runs as smooth as possible with not as much as drawdown, as less of a drawdown as possible. But our main goal is to create 5% profit. Is to create 10% profit in 1 month. If we create 8 to 10% profit in 1 month, we are good, and we can optimize it a little bit more. But that's the main goal. That's the first goal, to basically get to that 10% profit or 8% profit with as less of a drawdown as possible. Also, when you hover over these lines, you can see at that moment you were at trade 153, your balance was 50,486, and your equity was 50,480 and 48. Right, so it was in a little bit of drawdown at that moment, but you can see every time it's going into drawdown, it's recovering. So the main thing right now was changing the steps. We changed the order steps, the amount of orders or the amount of steps that need to be between each order. So that's making a big difference, right? We can see that already. So that's giving me a lot of confidence. So I'm gonna keep on changing, keep on running these tests. I'm gonna speed everything up, and once I feel everything is pretty good, pretty okay, I'm gonna go over the settings with you guys. So just bear with me, just keep watching the video. I'm gonna speed it up. All right, so what can we see? This is the end of the test run. You can hear it on the sound. It makes like a squishy sound or anything like that. So it created $2,448 in profit, which is not bad, but it's not near our 10% or near our 8% that our goal is. So what we need to do is we need to change up some settings again, make it a little bit more aggressive, change some steps. So I'm going to do that. Just follow along. I'm going to play around with these settings. It's really trial and error until you find the correct results or the correct settings. And it's just optimizing over and over again. The good thing that we see here is we're not having any major crashes. So it didn't pass our 4% of equity stop. So that's already a pretty good sign. We can go to the reports tab right now as well, because right now our first run has ended, and we can see our test is 90% reliable, so that's really great. You can see that right now it's green as well. If you would do this on a 1 minute time frame, it would be red, and it's much less reliable. Our maximum drawdown was 2.4%, which is very good. That's the same as $1,200, and our profit was $2,400. So we need to crank up our profits. So in that way, our drawdown is probably going to increase as well. But as long as we don't get to that 4% drawdown, everything will be fine, and we will not see major crashes. So again, a major crash, you will see immediately how that looks like. Hopefully we don't get any, but of course it's trial and error. It's finding that limit and staying below that limit, of course. So yeah, let's continue. Okay, we can see it has crashed, so that's not a big deal. That's just showing us that our settings are too aggressive, so that's okay. Let's go back to the settings tab. Let's go to the expert properties. So I have changed the fixed lot only by 0.01, so that's not going to be the issue. The issue is probably that our take profit is too far away and it's not reaching our TP. So I'm gonna decrease it again. I'm gonna make it 160, and I'm gonna decrease my no, I'm gonna leave it like that, because otherwise I'm gonna change too much things at the same time, and I'm gonna run it again. All right, so we are already getting some better results. We have 250 steps, we have 80 steps TP. So that means our TP is gonna hit pretty soon. If I decrease that to a 60, my drawdown is gonna be even less. if I increase it to 100, my drawdown is going to increase a little bit, but we still have room in our drawdown. We still are only at 2.5% or anything, so we can still increase our drawdown. If I move this to 100, which I'm going to do right now, my TPs are going to be bigger, so my profits are going to be bigger each trade that hits that TP. But again, my drawdown is going to increase a little bit, but that's no problem. We need to increase our profits, and we still have a little bit of buffer, a little bit of more room for our drawdown. So let's make that to 100. If that still is okay, then I'm going to increase my grid increment factor to maybe 2.4, for example, 1.4, excuse me, 1.4. So that what that means is basically when I start with a fixed lot of 0.1 and I increase this to 1.4, that means that it's gonna multiply my order a little bit faster each time it sets a new order, right? Of course, the maximum lot is gonna be 0.15. So we're gonna get to 0.15 pretty fast, right? But first of all, I'm gonna change this to 100 and see what extra profit it yields us without increasing too much drawdown, right? So let's test it again. Okay, so we crashed. So that means that that 100 steps TP is too big. It means that whenever the trade or whenever the chart makes a pullback, it doesn't reach our TP, so it's too far away. So we're going to decrease that back to 80. I could try 90, but that's maybe walking the line too much. I want to stay below that limit, below that crashing limit, with a little bit more room. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at 80 again. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to increase my max lot. So I'm going to make that 0.20 and see how that goes. Alright guys, so basically I didn't manage to get the results that I wanted. It's taking me a lot more time than I expected. The 20k and the 100k were much more easy, so it's gonna take me a lot more time to basically create proper 50k prop firm account settings. But basically I just gonna finish the video and I'll update you guys with a new video once everything is said and done. I might create a new one. I just wanted to release this one so you guys already can get started with the strategy tester, and so you guys know how everything is working, what settings to change, what to look at, and basically what means what. So thanks for watching, and we'll see each other in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord yet, the link is in the description below. Feel free to join if you're not in it just yet. We're happy to see you there.